Hello and good morning. Joe Justice coming to you live here from Advantage Technologies office at 950 Canal Boulevard East here in Charleston, West Virginia. Coming to you live today on December 5th, 2022. We are well into the holiday season now, everyone. Hope that you're having a great time. Hope that you had the opportunity to put up some decorations, start getting everything ready. We had our Christmas break, our Christmas party over the weekend at the spectacular Charleston Coliseum and Convention Center. We had a lot of fun on Friday. I'll be posting some videos and photos and stuff like that from the event. You probably saw some actual live photos that we posted there during the event. Hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to give us a like, give us a subscribe, and follow. Let us know that you enjoy seeing all that kind of stuff. Today I want to talk to you about how to choose a proper backup and recovery and what backup and recovery actually is. So let's dive into the history of backup and recovery a little bit. When we get into backup, what are we looking for? A backup is all of your data stored on a device that's available for restoring in case something happens to the primary data. So there's all kinds of potential problems that can occur with your primary data. Hard drives can fail. There can be something really disastrous like a fire or a flood, something like that. You could accidentally, inadvertently delete files. That's what we like to call user error. So there's lots of things that can happen. You might overwrite something that you needed. You might, have all kinds of problems befall your data. So what you need to do at all times is have some kind of ability to restore from previous versions or to completely restore. And that's what a backup is. And backups kind of started originally as primarily like large scale. First, there were systems like you would create a backup file, and then you would create a backup file on another device, maybe something like an external hard drive or something like that. And then there became big, long-term data storage services like tape backup. Tape backups were very big for a while and very popular. So the problem with hard drives historically was they weren't very big. Now, of course, nowadays we have petabyte hard drives, so it's not as big of an issue. But you could store hours and hours and hours of data, video and audio and things like that on tape. So they used that technology to store data from files. So they would store them on these reels of tapes. That's loads and loads and loads, gigabytes and gigabytes of data. The problem with that is the simple fact that it's very slow. It can only be read as fast as the tape can spin. So you can't use that kind of data in real life. So what they ended up doing was they went through a process where typically like at nighttime or over the weekend or something like that, all of the data on the network would be stored on these external drives, and then in case something bad happened, like a hard drive failed or something like that, then all that could be restored to a new drive. And then time marched on. Nowadays, things are way more advanced than that, and the old tape and external hard drive things, those are totally things of the past. Those are things that we don't need to worry about anymore, and they are legacy systems. If you are still using a tape backup, please, I'm begging you to upgrade to something new and modern. There is absolutely no reason to be using tape backup, although we still do run into people sometimes that have these old antiquated systems that use that. Now, what you need to be able to make sure you can do with a modern backup and recovery system is an emphasis on that recovery part. So for a long time, we had, like I just said, the backup thing. It was all about backing up a bunch of data. Well, the problem is now you've got so much data backed up. Well, what if you have it backed up and it takes you a week to restore it all because it's so much? Well, that's no good. So you need to think about both backup and recovery. A lot of people now use cloud backup solutions. So those are good because it takes care of a couple of problems. First of all, you got large storage opportunities in the cloud. Data centers have huge amounts of data storage, and then you could pay as you use them. So that's a definite plus. And that's off-site. So the other problem that you run into with a backup that's on-site is in case there's something that physically happens to the building that everything's in. That's That's bad, like a fire or a flood, a robbery, something like that. So imagine if you use like an external hard drive to back everything up. You back everything up, and then there's a fire, the building collapses, and your backup and your original copy are both destroyed. So that gets you back into that cloud backup position. So what's the problem with that? The problem with that is if you have gigabytes and gigabytes or even terabytes of data that are stored in the cloud, then when it comes to restoring that data, it's going to take a very long time, and it's going to be very inefficient. And that's not the kind of thing that you want. So cloud backups are great because they're offsite, they're disaster proof, you can pay as you go, so you can use large amounts of data or small amounts of data depending on what you need, but the recovery piece of it is not where you want it to be. The other thing that you need to make sure that you can do is have a little bit of dynamism when it comes to your backup and recovery. You want to make sure that you can back up whole hard drives, whole computer images, and individual files. So you need to be able to restore individual files, because what happens if you have the user error where somebody overwrites a file that wasn't supposed to be overwritten? Well, you don't want to restore all of your data in a scenario like that. You just want to restore that one file. So make sure you use a backup and recovery plan, and that's part of that recovery piece. That's part of the speed of that recovery piece. If you can restore that one file, then that's not a big deal. That's not a problem. But if you have to restore everything just to get that one file back, well, now you're talking about a big ordeal to go through just for one file. And you need to make sure you can handle disk level and virtual drives. A lot of systems nowadays use virtual machines, especially for servers. So you want to be able to do a full backup of that virtual machine, because restoration of a virtual machine is way easier, and the recovery is just way simpler when it comes to virtual machines. You can just restore that, and then you're good to go. And you want to make sure that your systems are efficient. So you want to be sure that you can, like I say, restore quickly. The recovery part is a really key factor with today's backup and recovery. I can't emphasize this enough. You have so much data. You have gigabytes and gigabytes, years and years, in some cases decades worth of data. And some of these files, depending on the industry that you're in, some of these files can be gigantic, and they can be very long lasting. And if you get to that, now you could be backing up for years and never need that backup. But when that day comes that you have a disaster, you have a fire, you have a flood, you have a ransomware, you've been hacked and everything's been deleted, things like that. When that happens and that day comes that you need the recovery, you're not going to want to spend a whole week waiting on getting your data back. That's just going to be a disaster for you. That's not something that you want to do. So you want to make sure that you can handle backup and recovery that can do this. Now, we have backup and recovery solutions that you can engage with our team. We have specialized managed service teams that handle that type of stuff. We'll come in, assess everything, get you exactly what you need to be able to do that backup and recovery, so that you have on-site backup, off-site backup, individual file restoration, complete full disk restoration, virtual disk restoration. You'll have it efficient, you'll have it simple, and that's exactly the kind of system that you want to have in place. And then the next thing that you need to do, once you get your system installed, once you get your backup set up, once you get everything running, is you need to do edge testing, and you need to do some scenario testing. It's an important piece that a lot of people skip when it comes to preparing for their backup and recovery solution. So you've got this great backup, you've got this recovery system in place in theory, you've got everything together, and you're ready to go. Now you just run this for 9-10 months, everything runs fine, and then you have some kind of an event where your data gets damaged, you need to restore, and what happens? Well, you find out that some switch wasn't pulled, or you find out some setting wasn't set right, or you find out something wasn't happening properly because you didn't take the time to test everything in the beginning. That's a key part, and we will work with you on that. So as long as you work with somebody like Advantage Technology, an IT company, to do that edge testing and to do that, go through those procedures of testing everything, then you're going to be fine. But you need to work with somebody that you can actually test those things out. Try deleting files, try restoring files, try deleting whole hard drives and restoring hard drives and make sure everything works. Test it with all of your systems and make sure that you can not only do that backup, make sure that backup is not only occurring, but that the recovery is simple and you understand it and it works as well. So make sure that you have all of those things in place for your backup and recovery, and you will stay up and running and resilient even in the worst case scenario. So be sure to check all that stuff out for your backup and recovery. Make sure to like, subscribe. Let us know that you enjoy this type of content. If you have any questions, shoot us a message, give us a call, and I will talk to you tomorrow.